Week 7, right? So here we are again, Scott, at Vegas Horse Pools Circa contest, week 7, I believe. I don't even know what the survivor numbers are down to. 2 or 3 weeks after I'm dead and buried, I've lost track of it. Thankfully, the guys we had last week on did survive the week and had a nice 2-team parlay with our big game of the week. So they were very happy from last week. But Scott, tell us what we have this week.
Yeah, last week was an incredible show. I want to get those guys back on the show. Maybe we'll do them on the short week, the Thanksgiving or the Christmas, something like that. But I'm going to tell you what the majority of the people picked in the Survivor at VHP Proxy. And it doesn't look very good this week. It's the dreaded team, not only the Cincinnati Bengals. So what I'm thinking about doing next year is something a little bit different with the proxy service, is I'm going to make the Bengals unselectable. Because if they were unselectable, I would still have 90% of my tickets in this contest. So I'm really thinking hard about that. I'll have to do a little more investigating. But we have a really interesting millions this week. Let me take a look here. The number one, this one was amazing. When I was putting in the tickets, the Packers were on every other ticket. Bill, did you like the Packers this weekend?
Packers are on all 11 of mine. I have 11 that I'm on. I have 5 that are solely under my name and 5 under the Mrs. name, and I'm partners with a guy in another. The Packers are on every single one.
Okay, well, it was a very, very popular choice with all of my clients. So I thought that was amazing. Adam, is there any inside prime information on that game?
That is probably the most balanced game of the week with the money we have on that, both on the pro side and the non-pro. It's balanced almost to the dollar. Again, as we've seen, most of the plays are the top-down ones. That number going 2.5 on Circa contest. It's $3.20, $15, so it's not a big one like we've seen in the past. But for prime, that is the most balanced game of the week, so nothing to cheer on there for us right now, except, again, I have them in all my contests.
Okay, so then we'll throw that one out as your insider pick. Do you have your insider pick? Do you already know what it is?
Actually, no, this week, and it's a good lesson that you don't need an insider big game every week. We have probably 4 or 5 that are somewhat the same. There's nothing that really stands out at this point in time. So nothing that we're going to be like putting the house on. But there is a few games that do have an edge, and a few of those are in the top picks for the contest.
Perfect, because everybody's going to tune out if you're not going to be able to give us some inside prime information. Let's talk about the next one. The next 4 are pretty close together. Let's talk about the first one being the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minus, it looks like 5.5. How about that one now? Bill, was that on any of your tickets?
It's on a lot of my tickets, yes. Jacksonville is on. Listen, I go by a combination of two different guys that are some of the sharpest guys in the world that have won millions of dollars in contests over the years. And you have hit on 2 of their, both of them sent me 7 or 8 today. That was a match on both of. They don't even deal with each other. But that's how I pick my picks. I go by those guys with a combination of, I shouldn't say I don't pick my own picks. I look at them also. I come down to this week I picked 9, I think, out. That could have been, and sure, that was one of them. I'm going by the lines and such. It doesn't matter about the actual teams. They could be A versus B and C versus D. Yep. It's a math game for us.
I 100% agree, and I believe that's exactly the way Billy Walters talks about in his book, about comparing different handicappers and going when they match. So it sounds like you're going down that model. How about prime on this one, Adam? The Jacksonville Jaguars?
Another very boring game. That one, it looks like we'll be starting the day with not the sweat like we had last week that we got home again when our big game of the week. And really no sweating on that one last week.
No, there wasn't.
Pretty easy. There was one point I know both of us were about to post, here we go again. And then the Jags scored to get it to 21-10. and we were thinking, hang on a second, we know how this game show plays out.
Yeah.
And then, Chicago scored 2 quick touchdowns, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, that was something. And I thought it was really funny because we were both ready to type at the same time. Well, let's. I want to see if I have to get up early for that 6 a.m. game or not. Maybe I don't have to get up early. Let's look at game number 3. Game number 3, the Giants were on about 2/3 of all the tickets. It looks like Giants 3.5. Bill, what do you think on this one? You have it on all your tickets?
It's because of the hook. I guess the Giants, the 3.5, which last time I looked at the screen, I seen only the South Point had the 3.5 here in town in Vegas. I actually bet -3 early in the week on Monday. And then I actually bet it a second time on Wednesday, -3. I don't bet a lot of NFL games. I only bet 3 this week, but you have mentioned 1. However, lots of people against me on this. I've seen people. I talked about this on multiple shows. I do about a dozen shows during football season, different networks, and my own podcast and Fox Nationwide. And it seems like lots of people coming after me for this play and saying, "Oh, this looks too obvious." So we'll see. My money is where my mouth is. I bet Eagles -3. I need the Eagles in many ways. I have a 5-figure bet on the Eagles to win the division. So I'm also, rooting for them there and against Washington. So we'll see what happens. But that's not influenced at all my bet. It's a separate bet. I just think 3 points, especially compared to the look ahead of 7, I think the 3 points is a little bit low here. I think, Philadelphia should come out on top of this one. The stats last week showed that they really beat up Cleveland. However, it was only a 4-point game because things happen.
Right. Didn't you give out Eagles on the Gill show?
I did. They got me to give out. I don't like giving out games too often on Beeson or anything. And, people judge you by one game. And,
right.
It's just I know what I do with I know that I've been thrown out of 3,000 bookmakers have thrown me out lifetime. I know I'm thrown out of many sports books in this town. I'm limited to peanuts at 5 or 6 of the new ones that came to the country. There's only one reason why. I'm using my brain. So that there's no cheating going on, nothing nefarious or underhanded. They throw me out for winning. So, but I'm going to lose 45 out of 100 games.
Right.
It's going to make me a lot of money though. Winning 55 out of 100, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have the same problem when people ask me for picks because it's basically a coin flip, and I don't really like doing that.
Like I said, if you get everything, it's great. But if you get 1 or 2, people, I walk around sports books all the time. I get asked, Crack, please help me. Please give me a game. I got to get out. That happens all the time. It's amazing. More and more. Not just even because of the Showtime show. It's because of VSiN or whatever the shows I'm on. People stop me, and they're just looking for one winner. Just give me one solid game, Yeah. But I haven't gotten there with Prime yet. I don't think Prime's going to throw me out from what I know.
They have a rule about that. Yeah, they have a rule on that.
Rolled out the red carpet and, all there to go.
Good deal.
The only thing Adam is going to do to keep you out is he won't open a book in Nevada quick enough. I've requested it, and so far my request has been denied.
It's hard. It's really hard to open up over here. You understand? You guys seen the movie Casino? You seen when the old local counselor comes in, the guy, and it's true. When the county commissioner comes in and says, "Mr. Rothstein, you people will never know how it works out here. You're all just our guests." It's exactly how it is. Still a cowboy town out here. Hard to get in.
Yeah, but I wish he'd take my side instead of his because I'd really like him to get in. I don't need more against me here. Adam, this Giants game's got to be big in your board. Tell me this is your insider game.
Yeah, this is one of the sort of top 4 or 5 games right now of where the risk is at. All the money is generally at 3. There's some 2.5. But this is a game definitely need the Giants. And in the contest, this is where I took the hook again in probably, I think, 30-40% of the games.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's slide on to the next one. The next one looks like it's the Rams -6.5. How about that one, Bill? Was that on any?
Did not. Nope.
No.
Did not take that one. I believe I was sent that one, but did not. I only used the matches. Yeah, my buddy Randy McKay. You know, he's a real sharp guy. He gives me a lot of picks here, and I think he put that on his ticket here, but I did not play it. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. He had the Chargers. I'm thinking wrong. Didn't have either thing on this game. So no, that wasn't a pick on mine. Was it a pick? Are you involved in that one, Scott?
Oh, it's in the top 4. I don't have any
top 4.
entries. Yeah,
but it's in your top 4 of
yes.
I understand.
Yeah, we only go through the top 5, and then we try to grab what Adam has as insiders. But yeah, I do not have an entry. The reason I don't have an entry is I don't want anybody to think I'm up to something.
Sure.
So I have no financial interest in any entries whatsoever.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well, I don't know if it's good for me. It's $14 million to the winner or survivor, and I had 0 chance. And I probably wouldn't have taken the Bengals. How about you, Adam? The Rams, is that going to be one of our games on the Insider?
Yeah, the Rams is definitely one of them. Again, I know on the picks, obviously it was 6.5. It's gone to 7. Favorite going to -15. We will need the Raiders. It's a bit like the Bungles. You never really want to need them, but most of the time you do need them. So we'll definitely be needing that as well. One note I did want to make on the last game, the Philly and the Giants, on your picks, it was actually the highest picked game overall where, you're getting significant people playing both sides. So I think that, like Bill said, that's probably a side that you want to be on in general in Philly. But then you've got the top-down players that are probably taking the 3.5 and whatnot. So it was an interesting game, that one.
Definitely so. I thought the Rams game was a little more interesting. The reason why is no one using the proxy service took the Raiders. Absolutely no one. So I'm not surprised you're going to need the Raiders. It would have surprised me if you didn't. So we'll go on. We'll take a look at number 5, and then we can. One of the comments I've received about the show is they want me to check the Twitter comments. So I'll do that after we get through number 5. And number 5 is none other than the Washington Commanders -7.5. Bill, was this all over your tickets?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this line has touched 10 there, even dog some money offshore, which is the sharp line I respect. 9.5s everywhere. I'm just going with the better line. I don't like leaving the hook. I wish it was 7, not 7.5, but that's the kind of contest we're in, and I fully understand it. I'm just going with the math of the game, even though the 8's not as dead as a number than it used to be because of analytics and such, but the 8 and 9 typically dead numbers. So, but I'm still going with the math of it, and seeing a lot of money come in on Washington, and I'm going to see what happens here, and then lay to 7.5 on the contest. I'm not betting that side. I might bet the Raiders side, though, after hearing all these sports books are going to need the Raiders. I want to be on the side of the bookmaker, and I interview a bookmaker every Sunday morning on my Fox Nationwide show, and I'm sure that's going to be a big side of theirs. God blesses and looks after the bookmaker. I'll just tell you that. So I probably want to be on that side.
That's
generally the point of this show, and we've nailed it 3 weeks in a row, so we're kind of riding high right now. So we're expecting that bit of a thump to come, and a bit like last week's afternoon games, all those favorites covering made it a tough close to the weekend. And it's looking like this again, like there some heavy favorites in that afternoon session that are definitely going to be sweating out.
Well, how about the Washington game? Is this a position that you have any sweat on?
Yeah, this is another one that's in those top 4 or 5 that are all around the same thing. And looking at the numbers, again, there was a big chunk at 7, bigger chunk at 7.5, even more at the -8, not so much -8.5. And then it did peak at, we're getting some +9.5, and then there's a few dollars at the 10. So it's definitely one that if it lands 8 or 9, which again, those numbers generally not meant to mean much, it'll be a painful result.
I gotcha. Well, before we go and take a look at the Twitter comments, do you want to say anything about the Bengals game? Because I know some Survivor entries that are very, very interested in this one. and would really like you to need the Bengals side.
Yeah, so we're going to need the Browns, not for as much as the others. For me, that's, it's just a weird game. Bengals on the road, yes, it's divisional. Yes, Cleveland have obviously problems and whatnot, but there's no way I want to be laying that kind of number on the Bengals and trusting them in a divisional game on the road. No, thank you. Not for me.
I understand. Bill, what's your take on the Bengals?
I'm not involved in that game at all. I'm sick and tired of losing money on the Browns. I know that. I mean, I know they got the money last week, but I am just sick and tired of this team. I made some futures on this team. I'm sick and tired of the quarterback. I'm sick and tired of the whole organization. So I am just not going to have any money invested on the Browns. So I'll tell you, if I see a 10 flat pop up here in Vegas, I just can't help myself. I'm sick getting those extra half points, knowing I'm getting an extra half a point over the rest of the United States. I may go back and swallow my words and take the 10 because that's just. But now, if there's 10s everywhere, I won't. But if I get 10 or even 10 and a half, more than these sports books in town are forced to overmove sometimes because of Joe public action. So
Right.
As long as I'm allowed to bet in that sports book, that's what I do.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, again, when being forced to move these numbers, ultimately whoever was upstairs making those decisions on needing to push these things rather than just being able to hold pat. And that's probably been my biggest advantage for almost 30 years is I've only ever been behind the counter at books with owners that have literally said, you've got the reins, go, do what you need to do. You understand where the risk is. And, there's one of my stories that I'm always telling, like my last few years with Spiro in Jamaica was I'd get a call. I'd speak to him 4 times a year. It was when we lost and he'd ask what happened, he'd explain it, and we'd move on from that. So, that's ultimately for any trader, all the ones that I've spoken to, they just want to be allowed to trade no matter where they're at, understand what the money is, where it's coming from, and just being able to trade and set those positions based on knowing that you've got certain people on one side. It's just public money. If we do this over the course of a season, we'll end up in front. But the risk appetite these days in these operations just isn't there.
Very true. Very true. Looks like Phoenix Adams talking here. Looks like he agrees with you on Cleveland. Are you guys seeing those messages?
He's done too. I see that.
Oh, you've seen them? Okay. Yeah, they're not coming.
Adam.
Yeah, that's my buddy Phoenix Adam from down in Arizona, who is lucky enough to going to be getting Prime before us. I have a feeling. But hey, do you want to pull up Adam? Do you want to pull up Spank Odds real quick so we can just do a real quick look on this and see if there's been any movement on the contest or if anything has happened here since we've got started. Looks like there is. Looks like that Houston Packers game that's got that half point. You guys see anything else?
No, the only other game again,
Oh, the Rams.
Talking about teams that we love to see get beaten, the Jets again. Look, right now in that sort of top 5 group, we're looking for the Steelers to beat the Jets.
I'm on Pittsburgh on a lot of my contest entries, just to let you know. So hopefully you're correct there. I am on Pittsburgh on many of the entries. So
yeah, again, that's it. And suddenly the Jets are the flavor, and heading back to being favored on the road, I'm happy to be on the other side. I mean, for anyone playing the teasers and that taking that to 7.5 is an easy one, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. Looks like that biggest one is that Washington at about 2 points. So, okay, you can probably take that one down if you want then. So what is going to be the insider play of the week from Prime? And is this in New Jersey or is it in Ohio?
So it's collectively. And again, this sort of explains that you don't need to play every week. You don't need to have big plays every week. Yes, it's boring and, you want to have that action and whatnot. But we've sort of got collective positions where We're going to need Tennessee over the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
We're going to need the Vikings over the Lions at home. We're going to need the Giants over the Eagles. And the few others that I mentioned was Raiders over the Rams and the Panthers over Washington. And it looks like on Monday, just getting a sneak preview, we're going to need the Chargers against the Cardinals. For anyone interested on a bookie special Monday night. Maybe that's the play that we should be popping up and saying, going into Monday night right now, and maybe we can do an update before the Monday game to make sure it's still on the target, but the Chargers over the Cardinals.
So that one might be it. Okay, that would make sense. Especially
Adam, isn't it fair to say, I'm sorry, Scott. Adam, isn't it fair to say, though, that a lot of your betting, especially on that primetime game, will come the day of the game or even maybe leading up to the game, like the last hour? Or is your clientele pretty sharp and pretty much astute that you're not getting that Joe Publix in there and that just, bet last minute and last second just because the game's on TV? Or either way, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that's kind of the disclaimer we've been throwing around saying, when we do this on Saturday night, there is still a lot of money to come Sunday. And then even to extend it to Monday, that's a good 48 hours away. So there's still money to come. But generally, these positions have held up for us. Again, we don't have many Joe Blows running around coming into prime right now. We do have a couple of sort of good high limit players that can change it on a dime. But generally, the positions that we have Saturday night definitely carrying into the Sunday. Haven't really looked at it till the Monday because, again, we haven't been in a position where that's sort of been one of the position games comes Saturday night. But, yeah, 100%. If you're in generally any book with liquidity operating in a normal world that's, has the players, a lot more players than we have right now as we're building this up, what we see on a Saturday night really doesn't matter because there's just so much volume and liquidity on a Sunday that you ultimately, change most of these positions. So it's definitely been a disclaimer we've been throwing around as we're going through this process. But yeah, for prime right now, what we're seeing Saturday night and really what we're seeing by Wednesday or Thursday is generally holding up because the player and the clientele we have are really getting those early numbers. Once the limits raise after the Monday, Tuesday, making their positions, and then, it's generally a late injury or player goes from doubtful to out or questionable and things like that on a Sunday where they might catch us on a move. But we're generally well on top of that information as well. So.
That's great. Your reputation precedes you. Prime and also Spank Odds, both really two good products. So congratulations, and hope you guys just keep on growing both of them.
Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, Spank Odds has got some major improvements coming out. I don't want to be the one to spill the beans, but Spanky's got a couple things that are going to blow your mind.
Awesome.
I'm hoping it's out in another month or two. Probably not going to be out until college basketball, but he's got some huge upgrades coming if he can make everything work that he thinks he can. But I do want to talk a little bit about these plays we're giving away from Inside Prime. We're very, very lucky that Adam is willing to share these with us. But I did a study of this when I was a trader, and I found that Saturday night was good enough. They did not change the next day. If you just looked at the house, the top 3 plays that the house needed, they would score 2 out of 3 of them just about every week. And the week they didn't go 2 out of 3, they went 3 out of 3. Wow. I thought it was an amazing situation. When I found this, and after I did all this study and found this information, my decision was, look, I would like to go to Pinnacle or one of the primary books, and I'll work there for free just to find out how they do it. Well, I've talked to people in the offshore books, and they won't tell me. They won't tell me how they do it. And I've begged and begged, and they say it just happens. I don't know if it just happens, but this is gold. Is what Adam is actually giving us here is gold. Is it a guaranteed winner? There isn't one. I can't guarantee we're all going to wake up tomorrow, but I can tell you what, I'd bet on it, and that's all I can tell you.
Well, it depends what the odds are. Yeah, like
I guess that's true.
And knowing the gambling gods, I'd probably bet against it just so I lost every day to make sure I woke up.
Oh, I got you.
So these are real betting splits, what you're saying, Scott, which you heard me on VSiN the other day, kind of going after anyone that puts up these BS betting splits on the bottom of the screens that are put up there, in my opinion, just to induce wagering by the ESPNs and of the world.
Yep.
These are real betting splits we're getting from Adam, unlike a lot of the nonsense that I see all across the nation now talking about betting splits. These are coming right from the horse's mouth, staring at a screen, giving the real numbers. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but you're missing the point, though.
Okay.
Although what you just said is true, not all betting strips there are the same. If Adam says we really, really need this one,
yeah,
it means a whole lot more than he's got a 60-40 and it's not that much money. So
right.
The 60-40 when they've got a risk of
That could bounce
50,000
Yeah.
and they have a 58-42 where the difference is $1 million.
Sure.
So what you have to do is you care about the 52-42 or 58-42. You don't care about the 60-40. Now, the crazy thing is why that happens. And I can't pin anybody down on why it happens, but I've studied this enough. I'm confident enough. People that have watched this show the last 3 weeks have proven it. This is gold, what he's given.
Nice.
And Adam is such a giving person that he's willing to just give this out for free. I'm nominating him for Tout of the Year, Bookie of the Year, and Friend of the Year. I'm trying to give him 3 different trophies. So
all right.
I can't believe anybody doesn't watch the show. I really can't.
I will add 2 things to that as well. Is those splits that you see from ESPN and that there's no pros in those splits because generally they've all been limited and whatnot. So these are, the best gamblers in New Jersey and Ohio that are sort of formulating these numbers, and anyone that they're sort of proxy betting through as well.
Sure.
And then again, sort of just as sort of Scott said, it's just you can have, we have some games that literally have no money, but it's 80% one side and 20% the other side, which again, it's a couple of bets that decide it. But when you have significant money and significant ticket numbers, and then you can sort of see the pros versus the Joes and things like that, which again, it's more pro action than Joe action right now. But having seen that sort of behind the scenes for many, many years in true liquid books, it sort of just builds itself. And how it's done, Scott, you just take bets. You take bets and you let the other people decide what to do, because ultimately I've met people that you could give them the final score after the game and they'd still find the wrong side.
Yep.
I have worked in 2 different sports books, Bill, and one of the sports book would give out those split information. And I can tell you how it went. Oh, I think it's 58%. Oh, I think it's 28%. We really need that side. Nobody's looking this stuff up. It's all a wild ass guess because nobody can hammer you down on it anyway, because Adam's not going to tell us the money. He can't do that. That's asking way more than we can ask. But if he tells us there's a significant difference, that's the one we care about. And we don't even care if it's 52-48. If there's a significant money, that's the game we want him to give out. So I stand behind this. I think this is gold. I hope everybody watches it. I hope everybody watched the last 3 weeks and went 3-0. I just wish Adam would have said they really, really need the Bengals this week, because I really want this guy to stay in Survivor. He's a good guy. Maybe you'll get a chance to meet him sometime, Bill, when he's back in Vegas. Hopefully he can win this thing. But Adam, I can only get you in for 3 awards: best friend, best bookie, best tout. You probably want best better too, but I don't know.
Billy, no, I definitely I don't spend enough time in that world these days, and and I know that we have some of the best bettors on the planet betting into us. So I definitely wouldn't put my hand up for that one. But I will add another thing that you'd mentioned. I mean, a lot of this stuff of working on the other side, and I try and explain it to people and push them into that. Like, just go and work for somebody. Like, take whatever you think you're taking as a salary, it means nothing at the end of the day, because probably less than 5% of the money I've earned has been through salary, and the rest of it has been sitting in Jamaica, in Costa Rica, in India, in Vanuatu, in Australia, behind the screen, getting this valuable information flowing in and then just flowing out on my bets in other books. And that's ultimately where you make all the money in this business when you're working on the other side as well. So if you get an opportunity to get and work with a true operator and a true bookmaker, and then you learn so much beyond just finding the nuggets and where to bet and stuff like that and the value bets. Again, I learned very early on that I didn't necessarily have the discipline and the fortitude to just, sit on the beach and bet that way. Getting behind the screen, doing 100+ hour weeks is what built all this. So yeah, it's hard work, as I'm sure Bill knows. Like, it's just decades of grinding and working and building the network, and ultimately being in a position where, you start having other revenue streams and things like that, but it's just place the bets. And now it's harder to find those places to bet. So then you've sort of got to start looking at this from other angles as well.
Very good. I've done hundreds and hundreds of different shows. And I want to tell you right now, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone from that side of the counter talk like that. That's absolutely, if I worked in a sports book, I couldn't agree more. The salary 5% that you're getting of your income, that was gold there, Scott. So that was you just had Adam say something that no one has ever said on the show that I've been on. Very good.
Yeah, it's very true. Actually, in my interview with the first sports book I worked with, one of the comments they made to me was the salary. And I said, if you think you're going to talk me out of this job by lowballing me, I'll still take it. Because I want the time. I want to do the time.
Yep.
I want to do the time because I want to learn this so that I can do it for myself. And I'm so glad I spent the time doing it, because I know how they think. And I don't make some of the stupid mistakes that other bettors make, because I can see it from the other side. But that was a great line they had in that interview, because I thought they were trying to lowball me. So I thought, I'll raise you, I'll take whatever you'll give. I just want to be here.
And I know from all my conversations down there with Roy over the years, who I'm sure Adam worked with, and even Spiro, they had some sharp lines down there. They knew what they were doing down there. That was one of the sports books that I miss. I haven't, obviously haven't played there in a decade and a half. That was a great sports book.
Yep, great education ground too. So, all right, well, here it is, another one in the books, week 7. Thanks for Bill for coming on. Added a great flavor to the episode, and all the best to everyone for the weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome. Anytime you want to come, you can always come on here. Maybe we'll do lunch sometime. What do you think?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Adam, if something breaks through on Monday, about an hour before the NFL game starts, why don't you give me a call and we'll go live, and you can give out best play of the week if it turns out to happen.
Yeah, we'll see how tomorrow goes and then play it from there.
Sounds good. You guys have a good night. Thanks.
See ya.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.